will now, let's see, local technical assistance grant. And so there is $50 million available for local technical assistance grants that can fund environmental permitting and engineering and design activities. And the applications are not yet publicly available, but this is what we're focusing on right now because it is the most time sensitive. And again, with the help of the consortium, we're working through which elements the county will be applying for through the LATA grant and which elements the consortium account of the CASIF grant will cover. And just received great advance work from Calvin. Maybe he might want to give a brief summation now or later when the consortium is on the agenda. But it is the intent to go ahead and give a brief overview now, if you don't mind, and because there's additional stuff that the consortium is working on.
So as far as the LATA grant, we are looking for each county to apply, and specifically the projects have to go towards infrastructure. And there are 3 areas that we're looking at applying for, or sorry, 4 areas. 3 are more programmatic. One focused on design and engineering for last mile communities, and that would, look at helping to create the high level design and engineering required for a grant application, or to seek funding, and then also the low level engineering when you're getting shovel ready. Market studies to try to understand, how we're marketing to communities, who our market is. This could go towards things like demand aggregation, trying to sign up communities for services before deploying, to ensure an effective take rate, things like that. Surveying the local telecom market in each community. And then the last one is a business plan, so that you have whenever you're approaching a funding source or investor, such as a grant agency, that you have a business plan in place for whatever model you are using to apply for funds. So if the county wanted to pursue state and federal funding, it would have maybe a legal entity in place or a model in place that has a course of action and a business plan for using those funds, so that it'll make the investors wanting to invest in your initiative. And then the last one, so that's the programmatic funding that we're looking at applying for, or recommending that each county applies for. And then also just general capacity, staffing capacity. The grant does fund dedicated broadband positions for that are focused on getting infrastructure grants and stuff like that processed in these planning initiatives. So that's another area that we're recommending, is to have for each county to have full-time paid staff focused on broadband. So that's kind of a high-level overview of what we're looking at applying for. And yeah, we're not quite sure where the timeline is right now, but we're just waiting for the application to open up that process.
Thank you, Calvin. Anyone have questions on the LATA grant?
No. So, but it sounds like we're really looking to the county to make the county, as it's part of the consortium, to really push for that. Am I understanding that properly?
It could.
Yes, and I think it has to do with the eligible entities for the LATA grant. the MOU that is the consortium might not be an eligible entity in its current form, and so it's the latter grant. The eligible applicants include counties and cities, but not the consortium in its current formation. So but we do need to coordinate which elements are being pursued by the consortium CASF grant to augment the county's LATA grant applications.
A major component of it is the staffing piece, and making sure that whoever takes this on, and that they have that capacity to drive it. And so the consortium, we're an MOU between 4 legal entities, so we don't have employees or staff. So that was the intention, that the eligible entity would apply and be able to hire on additional staffing under their structure. But cities are able to apply. Other jurisdictions, or local governments, are able to apply. I believe as long as there is no overlap in services being provided by the grant scope of work.
So are you implying that it would be then behoove the county of Mendocino to move forward to have a designated person or staff to contact or to help apply for these? Is that what we need to do to facilitate the Mendocino County?
I think that is something that I would recommend, or that maybe others would recommend too. That similar to, you have other departments like water and public works, things like that. You have people to contact that you have, because this is such a big topic,
right,
that you have a dedicated person to contact and working on this that's full-time at the county.
So I guess the ball's in the county court for that. So Darcy and Ted, heads up, right? The only other entity would be Michelle for the school districts. Is it moving, you representing all the school districts? Is this something the school districts should be applying for or looking out for? Or are they simply trailers to whatever happens to the county?
Well, the school districts network is totally separate from the county network. We have the high-speed network that supports all of our schools. So this is an interesting interplay. I don't think I have an answer to your question right now. Something I have to research.
I'm not doubting. Yeah. I'm not doubting that the schools have it. I just know, after the pandemic, and if we ever got shut down again, and the home connection to school was only fair to middling.
No, it was very poor for a lot of our students. Our schools had to set up. They actually turned some of our more rural schools turned their classrooms into family centers and let families come into a whole classroom and do distance learning from the school to different, and it was really interesting setups that the creativity was really unique. We also created hotspots with school buses, but you had families then having to sit in their car for several hours while their student was interfacing online. And that was not really a realistic setup for many families. So the situation is dire when it comes to the distance learning situation.
Okay, thank you. Why don't we go to number 4? If there are no more questions, go to number 4, California Affordable Connectivity Program.
Sure, but Katie has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just wondering, how close is the county to having this person who is in charge of broadband?
Well, I've been playing that role, and I kind of, and it's not full-time. I think that the model there might be a preferred model of having like a broadband desk, because I think that the director of transportation and the director of planning and building services play integral roles, and it seems as though that it needs to be a combined effort. And I know that the county has a structural deficit and doesn't necessarily want to, they want, if this position were to exist, it would have to be grant funded entirely, which isn't the best way to create a new position. So
Right.
it's a larger issue that the county is grappling with.
But
But
it's
hasn't
been a
resolved.
long time, so I hope that they really are trying to figure this out, because it now the money's there.
On a one-time basis.
I know, but one time is better than no time.
I don't disagree.
We
can
understand,
definitely have
Katie.
you can definitely have a full-time, time-limited position for the scope of the grant, and based on the performance of that position, it could influence the county that they see a need to use some of their own funds to invest in a full-time paid position.